just asked it. Hello. So we are David and we're live.
Yeah. You guys are showing. Do you want me to show myself first? I'll do a quick introduction.
Sure.
There we go. Does it change it on your screen, or are you still... I probably always big on your screen.
Yeah, it hasn't changed it on our screen.
Well, I just want to welcome you guys to our very first special guests. Those of you on Team Wicks Away that are watching this before our weekly Tuesday chat, the third Tuesday of the month is going to be hopefully special guests. And so Becky and Dave Sattler are here tonight. So we're just doing this video interview first so you guys can see them, hear a bit of their story, and then they're going to be joining us live on the chat Tuesday night, and you'll be able to ask them any more specific questions that you want out of that. So I am going to flip the screen so that you can see them. I had to practice today with Sarah how to do this recording, so we're hoping, crossing our fingers that it works. But yeah, there's Becky and Dave, and you guys live right in Meridian, Boise, Star, I don't know. You live near a home office. And I met you guys. I was looking through pictures from the trips, thinking I would do a little post on the group too and I grabbed the one of Macy with Shoo Shoo.
Oh.
Is it Macy? I was like, I'm gonna post this and be like, this little girl was in Becky's belly when we met our first time on the New York incentive trip. Yeah, and then our crazy hair selfie in Greece is one of my favorites too. So. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us. So if you just want to, tell everybody a little bit of your Scentsy story, and about your family too, because that definitely plays a big part in running the family business. So go for it.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you want to say it, or do you want me to start?
I think you
fill in the
better
blanks.
job, yeah.
Well, we started Scentsy. I actually started Scentsy kind of by myself, and then I've dragged him along with me because it's always better if you can find your support group, especially somebody who's right there with you, really close to help. If nothing else, he cheers me on, and that really helps. So I joined in February of 2008. So it's been 8 years now, and it's been quite the incredible ride. It's been so fun. And since then, we've added 2 more babies, and our regular family has grown as well as our Scentsy family and our team, and it's been quite the journey. So just our story in a nutshell, I joined because I just had our 3rd baby. He was a newborn, and Dave had just graduated from graduate school with a degree in marketing and business, and he was starting his own business, and that takes a while. He was getting clients and growing it, but money was tight, to say the least. It wasn't working, and we had all of that pressure and stress and debt of a huge grad school student loan hanging over our heads. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna go back to work, and I applied, and I got a job, and it was a really good job, and it was going to be really flexible with my newborn. And like I said, he was my 3rd, so I had like an 18-month and a 3-year-old at the same time. So it was going to be crazy, but I was ready to go because I was really, when you got to make it work, you have to do what you have to do. And I got up, and that morning I was supposed to go, and I just had a feeling in the pit of my stomach. I felt nauseous. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to leave my babies, but it also was it was more than that. It wasn't my path. So I'm usually not a flake, but I called them up and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. This just isn't gonna happen. And they're super nice and super understanding. But after that, I was like, okay, now what? And actually, like Christine said, we live right by home office. We're about 1.5 miles from home office here in Meridian, Idaho. Everybody we know, had already joined Scentsy at that time, and but my mom suggested that I join Scentsy. I graduated in business from college as well, from the university, and I'd always wanted to run a business, and so, but I wasn't the home party kind of a girl. So I had my reservations about that, and if it was even going to work, and if I could even make it work, not for the company, but for me, if it would be a fit for me. So I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. What do you have to lose for $119 Canadian? Yeah. And
look at you! You said the Canadian price. I'm so proud of you. That's like my #1 rule for growing an international business: is say the Canadian, or say it in their numbers. Yeah.
Yes, you have to know what you're getting into. And for me, that number was important because I figured out how much I would make, and then I made sure that I had that many parties to make that amount of commission so I could make back my starter cost in case it was a flop and in case I hated it and wasn't any good at it. And so you guys are, a bunch of you are brand new, Christine says, way to grow. So that's exciting. And it's a fun time to start, and with all that momentum. And so that was as far as my goal went. It was just to pay back that starter cost so I could walk away and not cause my family financial harm if I hated it and if I didn't like it. And anyway, the rest is history, and here I am, and we figured out together. Dave's really good at brainstorming. Like I said, it's really important to have somebody that you can at least bounce ideas off of, because he thinks and sees things differently than I do. And so we've tried a million different ideas, a million different avenues to try to figure out how to make the business grow. And then we'd go in one path in one direction, it would go really great, and then you kind of hit a wall. So then you have to try a new approach and go around that wall or try something different. And so over our course of 8 years, we've tried a lot of different things. Some of it worked, some of it worked for a little while, some of it didn't work at all. Yeah. But the fun thing about a Scentsy business is that you can always try something new, and you can always kind of reinvent yourself and your business and keep things fresh and exciting and new, and always have some kind of new goal in front of you. At the beginning, it can be shooting star, and then it can be sensational start, and it can be the next promotion, and it can be whatever it is that you're trying to go to. Even at superstar director, there's got to be a goal that you're working towards, or else you don't really push yourself, you know, and then you just kind of get stagnant, and then you get bored as well. So
yes, I'm just gonna. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something real quick? I thought of some questions through that, because 2008, what month was it that you joined?
February.
So Scentsy was only like not even a year old.
No, I think it was about 4 years old. Yeah, but it was it was tiny everywhere else except for in Meridian. It was big in Meridian. My church congregation is small. It's like one neighborhood. It's a very small demographic area, and I think there were 32 consultants among my church congregation before I joined. So you know, the whole people say it's saturated, or I can't, there's no business left for me. There is. You just have to be a little more creative. You do. It might not be as easy as some people where it's just there for the picking, but it's absolutely doable. And I think because I started with that idea in mind of having to expand, and I couldn't just stay with my little circle of friends right from the beginning, it helped me to realize that I needed to expand and go all over and think of new ways to grow my business. And I couldn't just rely on the easy pick, the low-hanging fruit, you know?
Yeah. I was just going to say, in this area, we're starting to just notice that tornado effect. I still have that spring sprint terminology from the very first spring sprint I went to in my head, but we're just starting to see that. And so as leaders on my team and a lot of the new people, finding that terminology and ways to explain that to them about, you know, just because there's a lot of consultants in the area doesn't mean that they're all working their business the same way. You know, a number doesn't necessarily mean an effect on your business, because we all do have those different circles as well. I like to talk about the fact that I didn't even have a circle here when I started Scentsy, because my circle's on the other side of the country, and we had just moved here. And so all I had was military wives who have no money. So I knew exactly how much they had. It was the same pay chart of how much we had. So definitely that's got to be great for our team here to hear that, because not only did you start when Scentsy was young and growing this way, but in your area, it was already starting to feel like like it was and so I know we didn't go international because I don't know why I said a year old. They launched in Canada in 2009.
Yes. So I was in it for a year when it launched. Maybe that's where your brain was going.
Yeah.
Because it launched in 2009, a year after. Yes.
Okay. So did you like, you guys were told ahead of time, like we were for Europe and Australia? I've never asked you guys these questions. This is like interesting for me too. That's why I like not planning it.
Canada. How we went.
If you like, did you prepare? Did you go out and talk to Canadians before? Anybody connections you had, or did you just kind of find some Canadians eventually?
You know what? That's a very, very fun topic, and I love talking about it because my Canada team is
like one.
What?
A flop. I remember.
I have like 11, so it's not one. But
Is it new?
When it opened, when they announced it, so this is a great way to talk about just the idea of international recruiting and expanding your team. When it joined, I had been a consultant for, I don't know, maybe a year. Yeah. No, because it was 2008. It was
October 2009.
Yeah. So anyway, I was in it enough, but I was pretty slow growing because I was still, watching my kids and just growing it at a very slow and steady pace. I joined after the tornado in Meridian. So I didn't join and just shoot up to the top like a lot of them. It's been a very slow and steady, calculated kind of an effort. So when they announced it in 2009 that it was coming, I thought, oh, yay, this is so great. I'm going to have an international business. I'm going to expand into Canada. I'm going to, just have this Canadian team, and it's going to be so exciting. What a fun new adventure.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anybody in Canada. I didn't have any connections in Canada. And I just thought, it's going to happen. They're announcing it, so I'm going to have an international business because it's open there.
I did with the UK.
People are going to find me. They're going to come to me. They're going to hear me open, and I'm going to just tell it on Facebook. I think that was even before Facebook, but I'm going to tell everybody, and it's just going to come to me. And that is the most common international strategy I have seen. That was mine. That was my strategy. And like I said, it doesn't work. It flops. And they didn't come to me, and it didn't grow, and it didn't just happen. And it was a great learning experience for me. And to this day, I've never really focused on it and really done it. Here, honey, you can't listen to that right now.
Oh, he's watching something.
Yeah. So it was the exact opposite when Europe launched, and then later with Australia. I could use my failure in Canada and say, it doesn't just happen. It won't just one day you wake up and all of a sudden you're expanding internationally, but you have to focus. And we talk about putting on your recruiting glasses or putting on your focus glasses, whatever you're looking at, it's still there even without your glasses, but you don't see it. You're not focusing on that unless you decide. Exactly. Everything is still there. You just can't see it without your glasses. So those opportunities are there. And unless you focus and dedicate yourself and say, I'm going to expand into Canada, and then I should have figured out who I know there, because even though I said I didn't know anybody in Canada, I know that I know lots of people who have connections in Canada. It's guaranteed. Just like everybody has connections in Europe, and everybody has connections with somebody in Australia and New Zealand. You might not know that they do, but I guarantee you know people who know people. And so that's kind of what I've figured out is you have to focus and decide that you're going to do it, and then make your plan of action from there. Go from the people that you know to get to the people that
see, and that's somewhere where I struggle, because I did the same thing with the UK. I was like, I'm going to launch my UK website and have my story up, and it's just, as soon as it goes live, they're going to search a consultant and find me because I'm on the east coast of Canada, so I'm closer. I had all those myths going through my head, but I know I have cousins in the UK. I have friends that moved to Australia and married men over there, and it still hasn't turned into a recruit, because I don't know if I'm just like recruiting here. If you don't come off with confidence, I tell my team that the first recruit's the hardest because they can almost smell the desperation, like a dog can smell fear, right? And once you have it and that desperation kind of settles down, then you talk about my team. And so I imagine it's probably, the same thing when you talk about, well, this is what I do with my international team, or this is how I run my business. And so did you find that it just got easier once you had your first?
Absolutely. And then you kind of, like you said, people get that confidence, and you get that confidence that I have an international team, and then I have an international business. And then people, like you said, are attracted and drawn to that idea, because nobody wants to be your first. I mean, they might not know that, but everybody wants to have confidence in the people that they are joining, that they will be taken care of. And that if nothing else, like you said, you'll know how much their starter kit costs. You know what I mean? Some basic stuff. So so anyway, I do.
Is that your suggestion? Do your research about their economy, their terminology.
Yeah. Do some basics. A lot of times that also is a stumbling block, because people are like, they do too much research, and they figure that they worry that they don't know enough to start. So some basics, how much does it cost for the starter kit? Maybe what are some things in there? How are their warmers different? Because their warmers are different than ours. What are some basic, very basic things that you can tell them so that you can have the confidence to be a good sponsor, and that they can have the confidence that you have what it takes to be their good sponsor. You don't have to be perfect, though. You don't have to know it all. I think a lot of times, like I said, that's a hang up for people because they think, oh, I don't know enough to really sponsor internationally. You don't have to
start sponsoring at all, right? When they're brand new, they think the same thing. Exactly.
Exactly. In fact, a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know how to sponsor internationally. And I'm like, well, have you ever sponsored anybody locally? Yeah. Well, then you know how to sponsor internationally. It takes a different focus. But it's the same type of process that you go through. You build the relationship. You create that opportunity so they can see how exciting it is, and all the opportunity that's there for them in their new area or wherever it is that you're trying to expand. And then you give them the confidence because you kind of know what you're talking about, at least a little bit. And then but like I said, the most important thing, like with any recruiting, is creating that relationship. So if you don't know anybody and you're sitting there thinking, okay, I don't know anybody, where do I start? Like my Canada list. I didn't make one. So if you're wanting to go international, this is what I always say. Sit down and make your list. Start with what they call the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff. You don't even have to get a ladder to climb up. The low-hanging fruit, what you have right there. You just said you had cousins in Europe. Okay, start with them. And even if they don't want to join, ask them to help you expand your team and ask them for referrals. Yeah. Most of the time, it's a referral of a referral of a referral, and I have to go through 4 or 5 layers to finally get my gold. So don't just start and say, okay, I've asked them, they're a dead end, they don't want to do anything. That's okay. That just means you need to keep going.
Guilty of, yeah. So do you keep reminding them, checking in? Oh, we froze.
No, if they don't want to do it, then you don't want to. Am I back?
Reminding them about referrals, like so that's still fresh in their mind, checking in, wondering if, no.
I don't want to bug them. It's kind of like your friends here. You can ask them and give them an incentive. Give them a reason. You can't do things that are just benefiting to you because referrals is for you. So you have to give them some kind of reason and some kind of benefit why it's best for them to give you referrals. Maybe it's a prize or some kind of incentive or some kind of something you're going to give them for the names that they're giving you. And then instead of bugging them to do you a favor, you just ask them, hey, I've got your prize already. Give me 5 names, then I'll ship it off to you. Or however you want to do that. Make it about them because the referring person is working for you, but people make it all about themselves. I need you to do something for me. You need to make it about them. How are they going to help you? And a lot of times, the biggest thing that I offer to them is I say, hey, cousin in the UK, you would be a great Scentsy consultant because look at all of your contacts around you. So the best present I give is the opportunity for them to join, and then I'll tell them that I'll help them work with all of their contacts and start their own business over there. That's the first thing is that, that's the biggest present we can give, right, is the opportunity to do what we do and the opportunity to share it. So, like I said, just keep that in mind that you need to make it about them and how it can benefit to them. And even if they say, no, thanks, I'm not into it right now, well, great. Well, if you give me 5 people that I can contact, I'll send you a free whatever it is that you want to give them.
So you contact the people.
I what?
You contact the people, you just ask for names?
So that's a great question because that's very important and a very important key. And I've done it a couple different ways, and I'll tell you the way that works and the way that doesn't work.
Okay, good, because I want to know.
So let's say I'm talking to you, Christine. Let's say you're just a friend of mine, and you have family in the UK. And I say, okay, Christine, you have connections in the UK. I'm looking to expand my business in the UK. You give them a little bit of why it's such a great opportunity. It's growing so well in the UK right now, and it really is. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
UK is growing so well. It's perfect. Everybody's super excited. There's a lot of momentum and a lot of growth. You give that fun excitement to them so that you, Christine, feel like, oh my goodness, I've got to get my cousins in on this before it's too late kind of a feeling. Then you get the energy. Then when you present it to them and say, hey, my friend Becky is looking to grow her business. It's growing so well. You've got to hear about this. Would you like to talk to her? And then they say, sure. So then you have warmed up those contacts for me.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But you still do the contacting instead of relying on them to just call you if they're interested.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You'll never hear from them. So you warm them up, and then I take it from there, and then you give me your list of 5, and you say, okay, Susie and Janie and Jennifer all are interested. Here's their names. Here's their contact. And then I say, perfect. Thank you so much. And then I say, Christine, if you want to join, I will help you work with them, and then they can be your contacts. This is a great opportunity. You can see how great it is. Do you want to join? And they can be your contacts. That's beneficial to me because I would much rather a nice, strong point of contact that's directly related to them, or second best, because a lot of people are like, well, wouldn't you want those 5 recruits for yourself? No, I would rather have one strong Christine, and then she can have those 5 recruits, you know?
Yeah, because the relationship, I have found that you know, if we find them on a Facebook group or whatever, you're having to build that relationship through technology and distance. But the ones that have gotten recruits because they knew them and already had a relationship, then when the challenges, especially if it's a brand new launch, the challenges that are going to come up, I mean, that's one thing probably to point out is if you want to grow international, be prepared for being able to help them roll with those downs and you yourself. And so the better the relationship and the more they trust you, the easier it is to pull them through that.
So you use that middle person, that connection point to warm up the contact and then make direct contact with them. Take that list and then you say, okay, I want to Skype with you. Get face-to-face. Cannot do it through email. It won't work. They will lose interest or they'll join under somebody else. They'll get excited to join, but if they aren't connected to you and all of a sudden that middle link is gone, then it's nowhere near as effective as if you can hold their hand and look at them in the face and say, let's do this together and create that relationship. Otherwise, you've got no relationship because now you're at a third party. So you need to bridge that gap between yourself and those referrals so that they can be excited and have confidence in you to be their mentor.
Right. So, well, and that's the other big, so many of these conversations, we may be talking international, but really we're talking Scentsy in general. Right, like and your comment about getting bored is so true because it is. It's almost embarrassing how easy our job is. Not easy intellectually, but you got to be okay with repetitiveness and find a way to make it interesting and keep it interesting because the main basic concepts are all the same. And so once you get the hang of that, you're golden, right? And so we're selling ourselves in any way to a host that wants to work with us, to a customer that wants to buy from us, and to a recruit. So that's super awesome. I know people are going to have tons and tons of questions for you guys. I have to go get my kids soon. So real quick, I just want to, because we've focused so much on international, I just want to talk a little bit about family. We've talked about living in where Scentsy is, but you mentioned children's ages when you started, but how many do you have, and how do you guys, make sure that your why stays at the forefront? And because I know, for me, I know the journey changes, especially with becoming a single mom, but for me, it can get all Scentsy, and my mind can be so one-tracked, and then I have to kind of stop and regroup and get on a new track because it is a lot to work for yourself. There's a lot of benefits and it's amazing. I'm sitting on my bed hanging out all day, eating Girl Guide cookies for lunch. But we didn't join this to only ever do this. So what are the things that you guys have found over the time? You yourself, Becky, time management or what you choose to focus on, and then you guys as a couple working it together.
Okay, that's a great question. Do you want to start and introduce our family?
Give me some.
Sure. So we have 5 kids, 12, 10, 8, 6, and the one that you saw on our laps earlier is 2.5. And so we have 3 girls and 2 boys.
You can sit up.
And it really it
looks comfy though.
You kind of look like sleeping.
We work, yeah. Oh, poor Dave's usually falling asleep when talking to me.
Well,
That that was a bad night.
I don't know. I mean, I think it really depends on, Becky's been doing this a lot longer by herself and really as me as kind of a support, but, and so she can talk about how she manages her time. But, I know a lot of people, myself included, that, I like to make a list of the stuff I have to do, and then I slot that into my day and say that's when it's going to happen. So rather than just being a list of these are 10 things I want to do, I put it into a time slot so that, my phone beeps me and say, oh, you're supposed to be doing this right now. And for me, that works. And okay, great. I'll just go do that then. And, but yeah, then it's just a matter of just trying to keep it balanced. And I think one of the reasons that we wanted to do Cincy in the first place was because it does give us that flexibility to be with our kids and to spend more time with them. And so that's part of our why. And so it helps us make that happen, right? So that we make time to be with them. So that's why I had to bail on you about 10 minutes ago. And
yeah. And life went on, right?
Yeah.
I did try to do this without my children because I don't have somebody to send them off with, and they love to be the center of attention. So I had to adapt, right? They go to after-school care a few days a week now so that I get a little bit longer because Nova Scotia thinks that school's over at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a full day apparently. So, but you coach basketball. I've seen lots of stuff on your guys' Facebook with that. And are they in a bunch of other evening activities, or they're still pretty young, some of them?
Yeah, they are pretty young. So we have everything from piano lessons today to there's an activity days for my daughter, and there's Cub Scouts for my other son, and then there's whatever sport they happen to be in. I mean, you guys know what it's like. It's busy. It's crazy. And that's the beauty of it, is you don't have to be tied to it all day long, but yet you're always on. You're always a Cincy consultant. So when I go to cheer for his basketball games with the kids, I wear my Cincy shirt, or I bring my Cincy stuff, or I'm, just happen to be smelling my testers so that the other mom sitting beside me will say, oh, I got to smell those. So you're always on, even though you're never in the office, and you can create your own time. I think that the work-life balance is very good. And it's a very good idea and very important thing to do. And sometimes I've been way better at that, and sometimes I've been less. Sometimes my family has taken a lot more of my time and my focus, and sometimes my business has taken over my life, and I have to regroup and really pull on those reins, because that's the beauty of direct sales, is it won't grow if you don't grow it, but at the same time, you get to make it how you want it to be. And
I love smiling Dave comes back. No, that's so true, right? Because we can, I say that all the time, obviously, because in my life there were a few times I needed to pause my business. And like you said, we can always try new things. You can always also pause for a bit and start over. And
or push it if something changes and all of a sudden. So that's exactly our instance right now. I have been doing it. Dave has had a full-time job, a good job for a long time, and recently he was laid off, so he has no income right now, no job. So while our life situation has totally changed, my money was always for fun money, for basketball camps, for the extra vacations, whatever else that we need to fill in the blanks with. Well, all of a sudden, our situation has shifted, and now we're living off of our Cincy income. Yes. And yes, I have the help, and so having him be able to focus on it with me has really expanded my capabilities of leading my team. But also, that's the nice thing about Cincy, is when you need it to be more, you can really push it and work it, and it can be more, and it can perhaps even support your family when you need it to be, and give him something to do with me, whether that's in the interim or whether I can convince him to jump on with me. I'm going to keep him around for a while longer. It's an option. It's given us options, and it's not given us stress or worry or crazy. It could have turned our life upside down if all of a sudden, it happens, right? People lose their jobs, or you get a divorce, or situations change where all of a sudden it will change and morph into something that it wasn't before, but now all of a sudden you have to change it because something's changed in your life. And I love that I have that option. I can pull it back a lot more when it's just in the background and I'm trying to be a mom full-time of my darling 5 kids and a very active mom, and I want to go to school and with them and help in their classrooms and do whatever else that I want to do. Or when Sensi comes to be full throttle, we can really kick it in gear, and it's really something that can support our family and really give us the security of we're not falling in the middle of nowhere right now. You know, we've got a backup plan, and it's a good one. You know.
I'm so glad. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and even when the divorce happened, my sense of business wasn't in a place to support that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was enough in a place where I went to my first convention in Vegas that summer and listened to Heidi. It was her letter to Sarah going off to college year that she did that speech, and Orville did the 4 chords. And I went home from there and I was like, okay, I have time and I'm going to build this.
Yeah.
And focus to build this so that I can eventually be supporting myself and not have to pick the boys up and move and do all of those things. And so
I think that's a great key, is you could see down the future. You said right now it's not where it's at, but I'm committed to this for years in the future. It's not just I'll just do it for a couple months and see, and it's not supporting me, so this might not be working for me, right? But that you committed and could see that vision of where you wanted it to be. Like I said, this is 8 years in the making for me, where all of a sudden it can be what it needs to be. So I would say, if there's anything, if you're new, if you're old, if you're somewhere in between, make sure that you are committed to your Sensi business for you, for whatever it is, whatever your dream is, whatever you want it to be. Even if it's something different than it is right now, that's okay. But look down the road and see if this is something you want to be a part of, if it creates the kind of life opportunities that you want in your life. Get on that train and don't look back. Don't jump off just because the train stops at a station, right? Stay on the train and decide, I'm going to be on that train, and I got to run to catch up to jump on that car sometimes if I fall off. But I want to be on that train. I want to be going where it's going, and I can see myself in the future in this great new place because the train took me there.
You need to know where the train's going, and as long as you see that, you'll work hard to get on it.
Absolutely.
If you like where it's going. But you need to see that, Oh, well, thank you so much, you guys. I'm so excited for tomorrow night for everybody to come and chat. And I'm so glad that I got to do this practice with you guys, because I love you both to bits. And I love that Macy was hanging out too. And that just goes to show, right? You just moving along. And now I'm going to hop in the car and go get the boys and turn back into mom for a little bit. And then when they go to bed, turn back into Sensi Consultant. So awesome. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow night.
Thanks for letting us come on.
Yay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.